Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Markham. What causes sibling rivalry? Well, first of all, competition for scarce resources. Humans are designed for survival, which means when your child or children look at that new baby on your lap, they're wondering, if a tiger jumps out, who's she going to save? That may seem a little crazy in our 21st century homes, but our genes evolve very slowly. They're basically from the Stone Age. And children are wired for survival and to shove a competitor out of the way so that they can survive. They need to know that they have the parent's presence and that the parent is responsive to them and that the parent will in fact save them if there's an emergency. That's why as soon as you get on the phone, your children could be playing together beautifully, but as soon as you get on the phone, all of a sudden they're whacking each other because they need to make sure you're still paying attention. And if a tiger jumped out, you would save them. So children have big needs. And the more we're able to meet those needs, the more they feel confident in our responsiveness to them, the more they feel seen and valued, the less sibling rivalry. The more they feel like they have to fight to get their needs met, the more they're going to be shoving their sibling aside to be sure that you are going to see their needs and meet them. And if those feelings are recognized, validated, I know, sweetheart, it's hard to have a new baby in the family. If that's recognized, it's hard to share your parents. It's hard to be a big sister, a big brother. If children get that recognized when the new baby first arrives and during the subsequent times when they express sibling rivalry, usually they'll keep expressing it, and gradually those feelings take a back seat to the stronger feelings of wanting to bond with their sibling. But if those feelings are not validated, recognized, they tend to stuff those feelings away in their subconscious, the emotional backpack. And feelings in the unconscious don't get worked through. They actually become unconscious belief systems that drive behavior. So kids who have an unconscious belief system that you love their sibling more, there's going to be a lot of sibling rivalry, and that child will develop a chip on their shoulder. So in another video, I describe how to help an older sibling melt the chip on the shoulder, but this is the origin often of that chip on the shoulder toward one of their siblings. A second reason for sibling rivalry is that the needs of kids are big and sometimes they conflict. So maybe they have different temperaments. One is always noisy and active, and one's more quiet and has some sensory issues and doesn't want their sibling always in their face. So different needs, different temperaments, and sometimes the same needs. If they're the same age, for instance, twins are just very hard because you have to meet the needs of multiple children of the same age, and they don't understand it. So anytime you have kids where their needs conflict, which means anytime you have more than one child, you're going to have some sibling rivalry unless you're superhuman. And parents are by definition not superhuman. You should also know that if you have a highly sensitive child, a high needs child, a special needs child, that child is usually, according to the research, going to have a harder time when a new baby is born, and they may have a harder time right along. So it's especially important to plan for that if you have that child who you know has big needs and you're introducing a new baby into the family. Plan for the support that you're going to need to be able to take care of everybody, so your older child doesn't form the belief system that somehow they don't matter as much to you. A third reason for sibling rivalry is that kids have immature brains. They're just still developing. And that means that they don't have a lot of impulse control, so they whack each other, or they grab things from each other, or they yell at each other. They don't have much ability to see the other person's point of view. And in fact, siblings are one of their opportunities to develop that skill, that capacity. Siblings are the people we learn on. And if you have a child who has a hard time with affect regulation or impulse control, or a little delay in the development of the prefrontal cortex, and thus tends to be a little bit explosive, that child's going to have a harder time working things out with their sibling, because working things out is just hard, and all kids will have a hard time sometimes. But kids who have delayed impulse control, those kids have, of course, a harder time working things out with siblings. A fourth reason that this segues right into is conflict resolution skills. No child is born with conflict resolution skills. All children are immature humans who are just trying to get by and get their hands on the tow truck or the remote control. And they don't necessarily know how to work things out well with their sibling. And that often causes fights. So our goal is to teach them how to express their wants and needs without attacking the other person, and how to negotiate to share the resources, the remote control or the dump truck in their home. And this is, of course, a skill that every child needs in life, this set of skills of conflict resolution. And most adults were not brought up in a home where they were taught conflict resolution. But of course, every child will get angry. Every relationship will have conflict. Our goal is not to raise kids who don't get angry, or to raise kids who are in a relationship without conflict, because that would mean they were stuffing the conflict, that the lack of conflict was coming at a cost, that someone wasn't getting their needs met or things weren't being worked out. So our goal is to help them to express their anger or to resolve the conflict in a healthy, productive way. So when children don't know good ways to get their own needs met and resolve conflict with their siblings, there will also be always heightened sibling rivalry. There's a fifth reason that I'm sorry to have to share with you for sibling rivalry, and that's us, the parents, because we so often compare our children to each other, which increases sibling rivalry. We so often intervene when our kids are fighting in a way that takes sides with one child or the other. And then the takeaway for both kids is, oh, she prefers the kid she sided with. And so kids walk away from that interaction with more animosity toward their sibling, less desire to be connected closely to their siblings. So unfortunately, the research is pretty clear that parents have a lot of impact on the sibling relationship. Our relationships with each child, if they are not strong enough, our way of intervening where we seem to take sides. So no blame here, no shame, but we do have a lot of power when we take responsibility for how we show up and what we role model in our family. We can't change age, we can't change temperament, we can't change needs, but we can help our child. We can meet our child's needs when possible. We can help our child feel seen and valued and connected. We can teach our kids conflict resolution skills, and we can foster a culture of kindness and respect. And I'll talk more about that in our next video, how parents can lessen sibling rivalry.